This is Project 2 by Karen Ply for Psychological Foundations for this fall semester of 2015. Today we're going to study intentional teaching theories. So what is a good teacher? A good teacher is someone who is passionate about their subject matter and motivated to be a positive influence in their students' lives. So to be a good teacher, the main thing is to be passionate about your subject matter. If you don't like math, don't teach math. You won't be passionate and therefore you won't be a good or intentional teacher. Pedagogy refers to the link between what a teacher wants their students to learn and the students' actual learning. It's our job to find the link between what our lesson is supposed to teach our students and what they will actually learn. Good teaching can be taught. There's no magic formula to becoming a great teacher. We have to learn the principles of effective teaching and how to apply them to our own particular classrooms. Components of good teaching include the knowledge of subject and teaching resources. You need to be knowledgeable in the subject you teach. If you teach math, you need to be knowledgeable in that subject. If you teach business, you need to be knowledgeable in that subject. Critical thinking and problem-solving skills. If you can't solve the problem, how do you expect your students to solve the problem? You need to be able to think critically and be able to solve problems. Knowledge of students and their learning. You need to be knowledgeable of your students. If you don't know how your students best learn, you're going to have difficulty with the learning disabilities that arise in your classroom. Teaching and communication skills. If you can't communicate to your students the lesson and how you expect it to be completed or the way you would like them to learn it, then they're not going to be able to learn the lesson the way that you expect. So you need to have good communication skills when being an intentional teacher. So would you like to become an intentional teacher? Let's look at the definition of intentional. It is doing something on purpose, deliberately. That's the basic definition of intentional. To do something intentional means you do it on purpose. You're deliberately doing something. So to become an intentional teacher, you must do things, obviously, with a purpose in mind, and you think about the outcomes of your lesson. You're constantly thinking about the end of your lesson and what you expect your students to learn. You must be mindful and flexible as well. Mindful of your students' learning abilities and be flexible. Some students might not be able to learn the particular lesson that you've laid out in front of them, where other students can, even though they're on the same grade level. You have to be flexible in those circumstances. So what are we trying to accomplish with intentional teaching? Is the lesson appropriate to the student's knowledge, skills, and needs? This basically means, are you teaching on the student's level? You don't want to teach a student a lesson that they're not capable of learning. You want to make sure you're on that particular student's learning level. Is the lesson related to a clearly valued outcome? Is there an end in sight, and is that end going to benefit them in the future for your class? And is your class time being used effectively? You don't want to waste too much time on a particular lesson when it's not going to be used efficiently and effectively enhance their learning in later lessons. To be an intentional teacher, you need to have the ability to change it up, to change the particular lesson to better suit your needs as well as your students' needs. If the occasion arises that the students aren't getting it or the particular lesson that you had is not working, you need to be flexible. You need to be able to change it up, your methods of instructions, to better suit your students' needs as well as your own. Teacher efficacy basically is the belief that you can make a difference. If you don't believe in yourself and believe that you have the ability to teach your children, your students, your lesson, then your students are less likely to learn anything from you. Because if you don't believe in yourself, they won't believe in you either. So achieving a sense of efficacy. To do this, you need to have constant assessment of your results of your instruction. Also, if the instruction doesn't work the first time, don't be afraid to try something new. We all have lessons that we think are going to work and they fail miserably. Don't be afraid, just try something new and you might get it right the next time. And continue to seek ideas from your peers, from professional development opportunities, from reading magazines and books, online research. There's many ways and sources to improve your teaching skills. Take advantage of these. Intentional teachers must know how to motivate children. First and foremost, to be an intentional teacher, you must be able to motivate. If you can't motivate your children to learn, they're going to have a hard time learning the lesson that you've set out for them. Use your class time effectively. Don't have too much time that's down. Every child should be working on something that's going to help their learning outcome in your lessons instead of sitting there with nothing to do. And respond to individual differences among students. These are your learning differences. If a student learns on a different level, try to adjust your lessons to fit those differences. Intentional teachers continuously strive to better themselves. They examine their lessons, their teaching methods, and they improve on their teaching practices by doing these. This is intentional teaching. This is what it's all about. This is a quote I found. I thought it was fitting for intentional teaching. A good teacher can inspire hope, ignite the imagination, and instill a love of learning. I think with intentional teaching, we all have the opportunity to instill all of these things within our students. Thank you.